What could you, as a modern human, actually offer people 10,000 years ago, and what technologies could you truly recreate? Today you're going to build a clean water system from scratch. You'll learn how to choose a safer source, make water safe with heat, and keep it safe with simple sanitation rules. And at the end, you'll get a field notes checklist you can actually follow. You look up and the campfire is the only light for miles. You hear water nearby, a stream whispering in the dark, and you realize something sharp and ugly. The biggest threat here is invisible. Predators announce themselves. Cold announces itself. But dirty water looks like a gift right until it isn't. So today you build a clean water system from scratch. You learn how to choose a safer source, make water safe with heat, and keep it safe with simple sanitation rules. And at the end, you get field notes you can actually follow. If you want a settlement to last, you start with water and sanitation. Not comfort, control. You don't treat illness first, you prevent it. In your world, clean water arrives like magic. Here the system is you, so you build 3 layers, and you build them like habits, not hero moments. Layer 1 is collection, because where you take water from decides how risky your day becomes. Layer 2 is treatment, because you need something that works even when you're tired and cold. Layer 3 is storage and hygiene, because clean water can become dirty again in seconds. You're not chasing perfection, you're chasing repeatability. Repeatability is what turns survival into civilization. You walk toward the water like it's a decision, not a resource. You do not look for pretty water. You look for lower risk. Moving water is usually safer than stagnant water. Stagnant water is where heat, decay, and microbes throw a party. Then you think upstream, because upstream is time travel's version of wisdom. If people wash, butcher, or dump waste upstream, your cup is already compromised. You scan the banks for animal tracks and heavy traffic. You choose distance over convenience, because convenience is how the invisible enemy wins. Here is where you slow yourself down on purpose, because this step is not about strength or speed, it is about discipline. You notice how easy it is to rush, to pour too fast, to skip waiting, and to tell yourself that it's probably fine. This is where most people undo their own work. You watch the water settle, and you realize something important. Gravity is doing the work for you. You are not fighting nature here. You are letting it organize itself. Sediment falls. Clearer water rises. You also notice how behavior changes when people can see improvement. Clearer water builds trust in the process. Trust turns rules into habits. Habits are what keep systems alive when you are tired, distracted, or gone. This is also where separation begins to matter. Dirty containers stay dirty. Clean containers earn respect. Nothing magical happens here, but something powerful does. You are teaching people to think in steps, not shortcuts. And that mindset will carry into every technology that follows. As the pot boils, you begin to understand why heat control is the real invention, not fire itself. Anyone can light a flame. Very few can manage temperature, time, and containment together. You are no longer guessing. You are waiting for signals. You watch the surface change. You recognize the rolling boil, and you hold it there deliberately. This is knowledge turning into repeatable action. You also feel the shift in authority. At this moment, the fire is not wild. It is working for you. Heat is killing what you cannot see, and it does not care who you are, how strong you are, or what you believe. This is why pottery mattered so much in human history, not because it was beautiful, but because it allowed heat to be captured, measured, and trusted. The pot is now a tool of safety, and safety is what allows people to plan for tomorrow instead of merely surviving today. This is where intelligence alone fails and systems take over. You can know everything about clean water and still poison yourself if the system allows mistakes. So you simplify. You remove decisions. You make it harder to do the wrong thing than the right one. You realize that pouring is safer than dipping. That covers are not optional. That placement is more powerful than rules shouted across a camp. This is where your modern advantage truly shows. Not in tools, but in design thinking. You design for tired humans, for distracted humans, for humans who will make mistakes if given the chance. A raised container avoids animals without explanation. A dedicated scoop prevents cross-contamination without arguments. Zones in a camp teach safety without words. You are not teaching people to be smarter. You are teaching them to be safer by default. And that is how fragile knowledge becomes durable civilization. Here you learn one of the most uncomfortable truths of progress. Knowledge alone does nothing. Behavior changes everything. You can explain germs perfectly and still fail if hands stay dirty. So you stop explaining and start designing rituals. Hands are washed at the same moments every day, before food, after waste, after messy work. You notice how quickly sickness drops when this becomes normal, not because of medicine, because the chain of small mistakes finally breaks. You also notice resistance at first. People forget, people rush, people feel offended, so you do not shame, you repeat, you model, you make washing easy and visible. This is where leadership quietly appears. Not in commands, but in consistency. Clean hands save more lives than weapons ever will, and once this habit locks in, the group becomes stronger without knowing exactly why. Sanitation forces you to think in space instead of objects. Where things go matters more than what they are. You look at the land and start asking different questions. Where does water flow after rain? Which way does the wind usually move? Where do people naturally walk when they are tired or sick? You place waste downhill and away, not out of politeness, but out of physics. You understand that flies do not care about intentions, they follow opportunity. Covering waste is not about cleanliness. It is about breaking shortcuts between filth and food. Distance becomes a tool, soil becomes a barrier, ash becomes control. You realize that civilization is not built by banning dirt. It is built by guiding it away from life. This awareness of flow will later apply to smoke, water power, waste heat, and cities themselves. All right. Field notes. No theory. Just the 3 moves that keep you alive. 1 saltier rule: collect water upstream and away from animals and waste. If you have to choose, pick moving water over stagnant water. Make 1 rule for the group: dirty tasks never happen near the drinking water point. 2. Make a safe. If water is cloudy, let it settle. Then strain through clean cloth. Then boil until it reaches a rolling boil. Hold it long enough to matter. After boiling, cool it covered so ash and dust can't fall back in. 3. Keep it safe. Store boiled water in a clean covered container. Serve by pouring, not dipping. Keep a dedicated clean scoop that never touches raw water. And place a hand washing spot where people actually need it, near food and near the toilet area. If you do only these 3, you stop losing people to invisible mistakes. And once you stop losing people, you finally gain time. It works. Now stop and look at what you have actually built. Not an invention, a system. You did not create clean water from nothing. You created control over risk. You changed how people choose sources. You changed how containers are treated. You changed movement through space. You changed habits that decide who survives long enough to grow old. This is the kind of knowledge modern humans forget they carry. Not devices, not screens, but invisible rules that make life stable. 10,000 years ago, this knowledge is worth more than metal, because without it, metal workers do not live long enough to exist. Farmers collapse before harvest. Settlements fail silently. This is what you truly offer the past. You do not arrive as a genius. You arrive as a systems designer. You see the pattern now. Fire gave you heat. Pottery gave you containers. Water and sanitation gave you time. Time to experiment. Time to fail safely. Time to teach the next dependency. Civilization does not advance through brilliance. It advances by removing invisible disasters. And now that water no longer betrays you, you are ready for the next upgrade. Higher temperatures, better fuel. Charcoal.